It is time for the D3 grind. Wherever you're watching this, I'm JT. He's DA. DA, introduce our very special guest this week.
Welcome, everyone. Episode 9, I think we're on now, so we're starting to get up there. Today, we are here joined with Jalen Overway, the correct way to say it, not to butcher it, hopefully, because I've been butchering names. Jalen Overway. He goes to Calvin University in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and wow, laundry list of just accomplishments to kind of kick this off. So he attended high school at Holland Christian in Holland, Michigan. He was named the 2022 Holland Centennial Boys Basketball Player of the Year and also was All Area Boys Basketball First Team Player, which obviously gave him Player of the Year nominee, and then as well as 2022 All-State Honorable Mention. So now looking at college, where do I even begin? He's only a freshman at Calvin University, and Calvin actually was named D3Hoops.com Region 7 Freshman of the Year. He is D3Hoops.com All Region 7 team as well, and he also won National Association Basketball Coaches All District First Team honor, which kind of just honors the top players and coaches at the NCAA Division III level. He also was named to the Division III Hoops National Team of the Week a couple times, as well as being named to U.S. Basketball Writers Division III National Player of the Week as well. He also won Michigan Intercollegiate Athletic Association Player of the Week twice, and ended up also winning MIAA's Most Valuable Player, as well as a first-team selection. And Overway is also the 12th individual in Calvin's men's basketball history to earn All-American honors, and this actually led to his team finishing with a 22-5 record, 13-1 in conference, where Calvin averaged 18.6 points, 19.9 rebounds, and 53.3% from the field, hitting in double digits 26 out of the 27 games he started in, with 13 double-doubles, hitting the 30-point plateau twice. So Jalen, welcome to the show. Wow, that was a lot. Appreciate you having you on today.
Jalen might be. I'm stealing the thunder, Dylan. I'm getting excited. Jalen, I have a quick question. There's so many things I want to ask you, but the first one is, where does your name come from? My favorite player is Jalen Rose. Just meeting a Jalen is just exciting for me.
Yeah, so funny thing, I was
fucking
actually
go! Sorry, I'm excited. It's a Friday. I'm right there. I'm gonna name my kid after Jalen. I'm gonna name my kid after you. We're gonna call it right now. We're gonna pull it from the pot. I got you, bro. Dylan, go with your question. I got excited.
Perfect. To sort of segue into that, so to kind of give us a better understanding of who you are as a player, describe yourself kind of as a basketball player, and maybe even like your NBA player comparison.
So I'm a back to the back post player, shooting lots of hook shots and traditional post moves that you'd see in the '90s and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm doing that type of stuff. Player comparison, I don't know if I'm like anyone in the NBA these days. Maybe
you like my guy Al Jefferson.
I don't know.
He said Al Jefferson.
I can sort of shoot. I didn't shoot very well this year, but I think he's a pretty good shooter. So probably not that, but
Joakim Noah.
Trying to think of back because I watched your film too. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
It's definitely a tough question.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I don't.
No, it is. It is.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't watch.
It's good. We can.
I'll call you Drew Timmy. I think watching this film.
No, yeah, we can come
back. I wanted to say it. I was waiting for you guys, but I think he looks like Drew Timmy.
I was gonna say him or like a. Yeah. I was gonna say that or like a Luka Garza maybe. Stretch it a little bit.
Oh, all right, yeah.
So you sort of kind of brought it up already, Jalen, about how you're obviously kind of named after Jalen Rose. So where did your sort of love for the game of basketball even come from?
Yeah, so my dad coached AAU basketball since I was growing up. So I would go to all the away tournaments and do all the, go out to eat with the team and stay in the hotels with the team and stuff like that, even as a young kid. So that was where like I think it really started. And then, obviously once I got into like there's like an association called Courthouse around me. So we started doing that as like fourth graders or something like that. So that's all, and then I started, and started really practicing and getting better from there. So
Jalen, I'm starting my coaching
yeah,
career. I'm handling anywhere from sixth graders to high school seniors right now, trying to get into the next level. You just said you started with your dad in fourth grade. So what drills are you doing to get better? Because I personally think if you want to be great, kind of you start in that middle school area and you just get your butt in the gym. What were you doing over that time?
yeah. So I was focusing on making free throws for sure. Um, I was
3 points.
focusing on yeah, free exactly. Focusing on making like being able to shoot with my left hand as much as possible because I mean if you can shoot with both your hands as a player in high school, then you're automatically going to be pretty solid. Um, so especially doing that, being able to shoot a left hook is pretty vital. And then yeah, I've been using the hook shot since like sixth grade. So I've really been I work on that all the time. Um, Working on the basic post moves like up and unders and
So
all
are
that
you
good
just getting
stuff.
in the gym by yourself and doing
So
these, or are you doing them at
yeah.
practice, or what was like your secret like sauce? Like you're getting like 100 made free throws a day, 100 made layups with your left hand, or what was your like secret recipe?
Yeah, back then, I mean, back in high school, it was going to be more, shoot 50 to 100 free throws. Um, you know, Shoot some mid-range shots just so I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
stretch the floor at least a little bit. Um, yeah, just focus on my footwork a lot, especially when I didn't have any people to practice against. And then I would also play against my older brother and my
Mm-hmm.
dad because they're both pretty big guys as well. Not quite as big as me, but still pretty big. So they would help me, and we'd play against each other a lot, which is also something
What
that
type of footwork are
definitely
you
helped me a
doing, like
lot.
specifically? Because I want to dive into the X's and O's of what makes you great. And I think watching you on film, your footwork is fucking pristine. Pardon my French for swearing. But what were you doing? Are you literally in the gym just working on that drop step, working on that up and under, or is there like a certain drill?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just go through two dribble, one dribble, hooks, baseline drop steps, spins, just making sure that I never travel, making sure um, that I can cover space with my steps as well. Um, you know, if you're going nowhere with your dribble, it's not really helpful. So being able to move with the dribble a little bit, um, yeah, just doing it over and over again. I just do it by myself. I just do each thing like
Mm-hmm.
10 times, just every day. 10 middle right hooks, one dribble, 10 two dribble. Just all the basic things, just to make sure um, that my bread and butter is always in good shape. So
I love
um,
that answer.
yeah, just
No,
just
yeah.
really good.
Dylan, before you ask your next question, I have a quick little story. I had a
No,
buddy who
yeah.
played with Nate Walters, and he said that Nate Walters never went out. His favorite thing to do was literally stay at the gym and sleep at the gym. So he'd sleep on the couch, get a workout in, go play 2K, get a workout in, go play 2K, and go to bed over the summer. And I think one of the craziest things that we've learned is as players become great is they like spending time alone and being in that gym by themselves. And I think Jalen's a perfect example of that with his footwork. And you can clearly see that on the film. Jalen could be the next Nate Walters. We don't know with his work ethic. But Dylan, your next question. Sorry, I've been hogging it.
No, exactly. I love that. It's literally all about repetition. Even though it's the basics, I mean, you got to be able to know how to move within a limited amount of space. You're not here doing all these fancy dribble moves. You got to just be able to get to your spot in a one or two dribbles or even no dribble. So I love how you touched on that. So, Jalen, you kind of touched on obviously your growth over years. So walk us through your high school journey, sort of from freshman to senior year. Like, are there any specific memories, like opponents or games that sort of stick out to you?
Yeah, so I'll just start like with as a freshman, I was like, I don't know, like 6'5" or something like that. Couldn't dunk. Um, I was like pretty
Sorry.
fat. But I was, yeah, but I was able to make the JV team as a freshman. So that was really fun being able to hoop with some of the older guys, which I really enjoyed. Then as a sophomore, I was like 6'7" or something like that, and I was able to make the varsity team. Mostly just being like a role player, getting rebounds and scoring 6 to 8 points a game, something like that. We had some seniors on our team. Ethan Aldring from Grand Valley, he's um, pretty good, and then also Jackson Halbert from Hope. Recently got hurt, I think, like a while back, so he's not playing much anymore. But so we had two pretty good seniors. Um, so I kind of was, like the fourth option or something like that. As a sophomore, as a junior, I grew to 6'8" or 6'9" or whatever, and then was leading the team with like I think I averaged like 18 and 9 or something like that. Was the first option, did pretty well. I think I got All-State honorable mention again or whatever. And then senior year, averaged 20 and 14 and a half, I think it was, and got All-State honorable mention again. Still like, the number one guy on my team or whatever, and yeah, so that was good. Teams that I really are memorable playing were I'll always remember playing against Byron Center because they had this really big guy. He was the first real challenge that I got as a varsity player. I was a little sophomore and just got bullied around by this big kid, so I'll always remember playing him. Yeah. Uh, even though we never won, we played against Unity a lot. That was always pretty fun. We always got some pretty big crowds going to those, so that was always pretty fun. Um, my senior year, we won districts against Hamilton, which was really fun. That was definitely one of my favorite games to be a part of. And then also against Hamilton as a junior, I had 34, which was also one of the highlights of my career as well. And then I think the last one would be I played against my now roommate who goes to West Catholic, Michael Morris. And he had 32 and I had 34, so that was a really fun game. And we played AU together, so it was like kind of fun. To be able
You guys must have not played
go
defense
back and
against each
forth
other then.
with
Just letting
him.
each other score.
No. He's he's a whole different position too, and so we didn't guard each other, but no, that was just back and forth.
Jalen,
So that was a
I
fun
think the
game
one
for sure
question
as
I
well.
have is you're kind of each year you grew a couple inches. What was that like growing and having to keep that skill that you have around the basket? Was it hard? Was it easy? Because I know a lot of kids in high school they haven't grown into their bodies yet, is the term we use. So what was that like constantly growing and having to adapt?
Yeah, so I mean, I never had like a
Mm.
huge growth spurt, so I was always pretty comfortable in my body. Um, I mean, like I said, I was like 6'5" as a freshman and 6'7", so I like grew like 2 inches, 2 inches, 1 inch or whatever. So it was never like a crazy jump. So I was always pretty like coordinated enough to be okay and to be a good player. So luckily I never had to go over like a hurdle
That's
like
awesome.
not being
So,
comfortable in my own
oh
body or
sorry.
whatever.
So being comfortable in your own
I was
body,
always
what's that physicality like at that high school level? Being that tall, like setting the tone, setting the pace of kind of being a post.
Yeah, so one thing that was really hard about being my size in high school is being so much bigger than everyone else. Most of the time, I had to really like hold back and not go as hard as I could, because otherwise I just get fouls all the time and foul out right away if I ever did that. So that was definitely um, one struggle I had was trying to make sure I was not just barreling over people all the time. So um, yeah, and setting the tone like every game. I was making sure I was hustle or getting on the rebounds. I had 14 and a half rebounds as a senior, so I really focused on getting boards my senior year, especially. Being more physical than everyone on boards is especially, I think.
I got one more
my
high school
biggest
question. You kind of got
game.
hosed in the honorable mention.
What's the secret to getting?
Oh, sorry, you're okay. We'll fix it in post. You kind
What's
of got
that?
hosed being only all-state honorable mention, averaging 14 boards and 20 points.
Oh yeah, it's whatever. There's a guy named Gabe Newhoff who averaged like 21 or something, or 22. I don't remember. He averaged a few more. He was in the same conference as me. He was a really good player. Went to Spring Arbor.
Oh, wow.
I think he ended up getting it over me. I want to say like third or second, maybe all state. So, good for him. But I was obviously not super happy about that. But
Cool. Good luck.
yeah. But
So what was the
all right? High school.
sweet? So what was the competition like playing? I think you guys played in the Michigan High School Athletic Association. We actually had a teammate at Beloit who's from Michigan. So what was it sort of like playing there?
Yeah, I mean, we had like pretty fun rivalry games. You know, we actually changed conferences when I was a junior, which was a little odd, but like as a sophomore, we had crowds show up and we had big games all the time because we were in the same conference for like 10 years or something like that. So like it was super fun going against all these teams that we always go against every year. So doing that, going against the same teams every year was super fun because we kind of like developed a little bit of rivalries and yeah, things like that. And then even as seniors, we had good games with like Spring Lake and one time with Unity, we had a good game. So I mean, we had and Hamilton, they were a rival as well. So I mean, we had rivals all over the board, which was pretty fun.
Any hoopers in your area that sort of went on to that next level like you that you sort of remember playing against? Whether AAU or even in that just high school?
Yeah, so I mentioned. Yeah, so I mentioned I played with Ethan Aldrin, who went to GV, Grand Valley. I played with Jackson Halbert, who went to Hope. My brother went to Trinity Christian College. My cousin went to Aquinas. I mentioned Gabe Newhoff. He went to Spring Arbor. I played against Michael Morris, who's my roommate right now. He's here, obviously. Who else did I play against? I played against.
Oh.
I played against Kobe Buffkin for a couple of years. So yeah, he went to Michigan, obviously. So he was pretty good. That was one of those fun guys that I got to play. So, yeah, a lot of people from here go to D3 and D2 schools, and every once in a while I get like a D1 school. But yeah, a lot of kids from around here.
Jalen, what was your AAU experience like?
Really fun. Yeah, so I started AAU as a freshman, I think, or no, 8th grader. Played for the West Michigan Lakers, and then ended up going to the NBA Lakeshore, which is a new program that started up around us, which was like a branch off of NBA. And I had a blast. I played with Owen Vernado, who's on the team, and I played with Luca Wrestler on the team. And I also played with Michael Morris on the team as well. So I had a blast, got to make a ton of friends through that. I also played with 2 kids from my high school as well, Adam Cruzy and Ben Nelson. So those were 2 of my best friends from high school as well. So I had a blast, doing all that stuff, going on trips with all my buddies.
What do you
really
think
loved
was more
AAU
of a
and
highlight for you getting to the next level, AU or high school? Because you kind of touched on both of those experiences.
Yeah, I want to say I think AAU. I think I got more seen by Calvin through high school, and then I
Mhm.
got an offer from Lake Superior State in the GLIAC. That was through AAU. Um, got an offer from Cornerstone, which was from AAU, and then Trinity, where my brother goes. That was kind of like a little bit of both. So I would say a little more AAU
Cool.
probably than high school. So yeah.
Cool. So to sort of piggyback off of JT's question there, what was your recruitment process like? Looking sort of at your stats and your high school stats, obviously you were one of the better players in the state. Was like D3 always the goal for you? And like, if so, like, what was that sort of process like?
Yeah, I mean, initially, as a young kid, my goal is to go D1, obviously, just like every other kid. Um, but as I grew up, realizing that as a center, if you're not going to be 6'10" or whatever, 6'11", you're probably not going to be able to go D1, especially if you're as athletic as I am. So, um, yeah, I mean, and then as I got into my senior year and my junior year, I was really hoping to go D2. Get a few scholarships through that, or maybe NAIA. But my recruitment process was pretty slow. I didn't get as many offers as I would have hoped. Like I said, I just mentioned the few that I got. I think it was like 3 or 4 of them. So I mean, I was a little disappointed by that, but I really don't regret coming to Calvin. I loved this year so far. So yeah, I mean, a little disappointing,
What made
but
you
I
end up
think
choosing
I think I
Calvin?
ended up at a great place for sure. A big
Oh,
reason was my dad actually played here. Yeah, and then it's pretty close to home, which is pretty nice. I live in Holland, like you said, so being close to home was pretty nice. Um, Calvin's. I've always been a Calvin fan because my dad went there. Um, and I liked Coach Saul, and I knew that Owen Vernado and Luca and Michael were going to be here, so that was also a
cool.
big help for my decision. Yeah.
Sweet. So, kind of looking back at your recruiting process, you touched on how you sort of didn't garner the offers that you were hoping to sort of receive. If you could, looking back at it, what would you change about that whole process, if anything, if you could? Because you said you're happy, obviously, at the place you are now. So,
Yeah, I mean, if I had to go back, I mean, like just like everyone would probably say, I would have worked harder. I would have put more hours in the gym. I would have lost weight quicker. I would have, um, learned how to shoot threes better. Uh, do all those things so I would get higher level looks and, maybe get a few more GLIAC offers, which is D2 around here. Um, but I mean, yeah, I just work harder and maybe try reaching out a little more than I did. Because I kind of like just kind of snap, like, not like I kind of had it so like I was waiting for it to come more than than
Jalen, did
pursuing
you
it,
reach out at
which
all?
yeah. So maybe what it,
we have
I didn't really reach out to anyone. No, I was kind of
Mhm.
expecting them to reach out to me. I just didn't really know how it all worked, and
no, yeah. I
um,
love that
yeah.
you're
So I
sort of
thought I was
honest.
doing good enough where they would, but yeah.
We had another person on the pod similar to you who could have probably played at the Division 2 or even the Division 1 level, but same thing as him. He didn't know where to even start with him. His name's Michael Polakowski. He actually went to the same school as us, and he averaged what, JT, 16,
Yep.
17 as a freshman. So similar to you, he probably could have went places, and he said the same exact thing. He was like, "My biggest thing is not really knowing where to start." And then we've said this a bunch throughout this pod, obviously, but we're hoping that through this we can kind of give people sort of the blueprint of where to even start and like sort of the resources you have, because I don't think players understand, and even just the average fan in general, how many resources you have, whether it's NCSA, these different recruiting sites. Like you can even just go on the school's website and just find their email. So I love sort of your honesty behind that. But at the end of the day, like you said, everything works out for the reason. Everything happens for a reason. I'm glad that you ended up where you wanted to be. And it's so cool hearing that you're at your dad's sort of alma mater. So that's cool to say.
Jalen, kind of transitioning to more of a college
thanks.
question. Oh, sorry, Jalen.
So obviously,
what is a college practice like at Calvin?
no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, college practice, at the beginning of the year, it was, like 2.5 hour practices, really getting the freshmen into shape here, teaching them all the drills and stuff like that. And then as you get into more games, it turns into lifting 2 times a week, going from lift to film for 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, right to practice for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and then sometimes back to film if we really wanted to make sure we were getting onto something. But so during the season, it was a little less practice time and more time in the film room. So it was like
I think my
3 to 4
mind starts to. I think
at the
I have
most.
so many questions for you. I think my first one is, what drills are you learning, or what? How did that differ a high school practice from a college practice?
Yeah, I mean, it was so much more fast paced. Everyone's everyone's the best player from their high school, so it's like you're actually playing like really good competition. So I could kind of coast a little bit in high school if I wanted to, if I wasn't really feeling like it that day or whatever. But in college, you can't coast at all because if you do that, you'll just get killed. And you run a lot more, or at least our team right at the beginning of the year especially, you ran for everything you lost. If you didn't run a drill right a few times in a row, you had to run, So just way more fast paced and
That's awesome.
yeah, just a lot better competition.
Any sort of welcome to any sort of welcome to college moments for you? Like a specific like story or event that happened where you're like, all right, this isn't high school basketball anymore. I'm at the next level.
Yeah. I think the first welcome to college moment I had was the only game that I didn't have double digits on. I think it was like our third or fourth
Oh my
game
God.
against, I want to say Rockford from Wisconsin. Yeah.
Wow. Sorry.
We
played them a couple times.
First time
Yep.
they just doubled the crap out of me. I couldn't get anything. I think I had like 8 points or something like that. And going from I think I had like 30, 27 or 24 or something like that, and 22 before that. So it was kind of like oh. that was that was like the first like, hey, this isn't high school anymore. You can't just go for 20 every game.
How much of the film room do you accommodate for your success? Like, and a follow up to that would be, what are you looking for when you're watching film?
Yeah, the coaches are really good at looking for tendencies in players. If they're more right-hand dominant, more left-hand dominant, especially. And then they also look at shot charts, where they're good at shooting, if they're good at the mid-range or if they're good at the three, like where on the three-point arc they're struggling from. So they looked at tendencies pretty hard and a lot. And then they also we would look at, just like plays, like out of bounds plays and, sets they ran frequently, especially, ways they doubled. And I looked for, specifically, how the other big guy would guard, like if he would sag on one side or, if he was more physical player, if he was more of a trying to steal the ball from you player as they pass in the post. So that's what I mostly look for.
Sweet. So obviously for you, the transition from high school to college athletic wasn't that difficult for you, kind of to say, at least seeing through your stats. So what kind of helped prepare you to play as a freshman? Because a lot of time, most college institutions or athletic programs, you don't see a lot of freshmen playing right off the rip. So what helped prepare you play as a freshman?
Um, I think coach definitely helped me a lot, teaching me how much more fast paced the game is because I'm not a fast player. I like to not. I'm just a slower player, so I just him teaching me that and showing me that this is not high school anymore and that you need to run, always be sprinting, and because now there's a shot clock as well, so you can't waste any time. So I think that was the big thing that helped get me ready was like training at a higher pace for the first chunk of practices, just so I would be ready
How much did your dad and brother help you
for the
prepare
first
for
game.
college?
Yeah, they helped a ton. My dad actually coached my AAU team, so we, or he was the assistant coach. So he would he would take the bigs group over, and he would train us specifically. And he's a pretty big guy too, so he's pretty good in the post as well. So him being able to show me post moves and being able to play me one on one by ourselves as well, he helped me a ton for sure. And then my older brother, he really pushed me in the summers to, especially in high school, to always be getting in the gym for at least 2 hours a day, and then lifting as well, and um, making sure you're shooting all like as much as you can, never taking a day off. So
Good stuff.
he really pushed me in. Yeah.
A little off topic here. But say you, your dad, and your brother are all in your primes, and we got a king of the court gang up to 7. Who's winning?
Yeah.
In their primes.
So I actually only just recently beat my dad for the first time, like a year ago maybe. So, and then my brother Vince is quicker than us and can shoot better than me and my dad. So I would think just because it's a mismatch there that he would probably win that, because I just can't guard him on the perimeter, and yeah, so I'm guessing Vince would win in his prime. Yeah, but don't love to say it, but yeah.
Let me go. So, looking at the game of basketball nowadays, most bigs tend to sort of shy away from that sort of back to the basket game. Centers obviously no longer score their points at the rim, they score from further out. So, although you do sort of shoot 3 pointers, why did you decide to stick with that sort of old school dominant post game rather than focusing more sort of on like a pick and pop game or like a stretch big sort of game instead?
I mean, I've always been a big kid, so um, making shots from closer is obviously easier. So that was always my thing. I mean, why shoot threes when you could just pound people in the post? And I've always been pretty much bigger than everyone I've played, so I've never really had a problem with getting out, like out strength like that. So and my dad always taught me to be really good back to the basket as well, because he was an old school player, so he liked wanted everything to be centered around the bigs, and so I think he was definitely the reason why I developed
Jalen, what kind of
back
offense
to
are
the
you guys running
basket
at Calvin?
game for sure. Yeah, I mean we really pound the post too. We don't really run a ton of ball screens. I actually don't really like running ball screens that much. I would rather just them throw me the ball in the post, and then if they double, I
Are you,
can kick for open threes and stuff like that. So Yeah, a lot of that, I'll set drag screens on uh on like fast breaks, but other than that, it's mostly just like, you know, throw it to the post, cut. Um, I'll score if I'm not doubled.
Are you running 4 out 1 in, or are you running like 3-2 and going
Yeah.
high low? Okay, sorry, I was watching the film. I was
Yeah,
just
4 out 1 in.
curious.
Yep. We do a lot of 4 out 1 in. Yeah, and then we do sometimes me and Owen or me and Marcus Bolt on my team would run high lows.
Cool.
Yeah, but mostly 4 out 1 in. Yeah.
So what do you like most about playing with your back to the basket, I guess you could say, rather than playing from behind the arc? Because you sort of touched on it. A lot in this generation, obviously, with the influence of like Steph Curry, you start to see like your Nikola Jokic's, your Joel Embiid's, their ability to now stretch it out from three. But what do you sort of like about being able to just play straight up bully ball back to the basket? Like, what do you like about that?
I mean, being able to, just put your body, like being able to pound people is pretty easy for me. I'm pretty heavy, so it's like I can move people pretty well. And being able to just take one dribble into someone creates a little bit of space for you, and then you can just go up and shoot right over them. So I've always found that really helpful, being able to just create just a little bit of space, just enough where you can just shoot over them. Because if you're close enough to the hoop and you take one pound dribble into the person, they back up, you can pretty much score on anyone. Doesn't matter how tall they are, unless they're of course like Zach Edey or whatever. But yeah, like I'm not gonna be able to do that in like 7'4" guys or whatever. But if they're 7-footers, if you take one big pound dribble into them and create a little bit of space, and you can get your right hook over pretty much anyone. So I've always really liked that, being able to just create a little bit of space off the dribble, like by using my body. So that's pretty easy pretty.
Oh yeah, I got
need more
Jalen's
bigs
footwork.
like
It's just hard
Jalen.
to teach.
Just not soft. There's too many bigs nowadays. Yeah. There's just too many big men nowadays who are way too soft and way too
My
scared
guy
of
Chet.
contact, and it's ridiculous. The game's getting soft, but I love how you. Yep, I love how you
Jalen,
kind of stick to that
so
old school game.
rookie of the year, MVP, team goes 22-5, 13-1. Like you haven't reached the mountaintop, but you've climbed pretty damn far. What keeps you motivated to keep going? Because you've done so many great things already, only as a college freshman.
Yeah, what keeps me motivated is, I want to win player of the year. And I want to be first team All-American. Third team isn't good enough, I don't think. So, I think if I could be, first team All-American as a sophomore, then I'd have a pretty good freaking chance of being national player of the year as a junior. So being able to try to, be the best player in D3 would be a treat. It would be something that I would love to work towards. Yeah, and then also, my goal is to go play overseas afterwards, or go play pro somewhere.
On
So
a
that
team
definitely keeps
level,
me
you guys
motivated
missed the
as well.
tournament. How motivated are you guys for that next season? You beat some big teams and Oshkoshes of the world. What are our plans next year for Calvin? What are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, we're not losing much. We did lose a starter who was a pretty big piece, but other than that, we're not losing a ton of guys. So I think we'll be right back at it. And we're all getting in the weight room. We're getting after it. So I think if the rest of the guys are working, getting in the gym a little bit over the summer as well, I think we'll be, one heck of a team next year. So I mean, just a little bit of work. I think we're right there. Um, you know, Somehow lost the hope in twice, which were tough games for us. But I think, yeah, we just get stronger, get faster, get better. And, we got a few recruits I think that could be helpful coming in next year. We'll all be older. I mean, because we had 3 freshmen that put in a lot of minutes last year. So having guys who have a lot more experience, I think,
Jalen, I love it.
definitely benefit us for sure.
What are you sort of? No, you go. I was just going to ask real quick, what are you sort of looking on to improve on this offseason? You have all these goals for yourself. What must you sort of do in order to reach these goals of yours?
Yeah, so I'm really working on making sure I can shoot the three pretty well. Yeah, I mean last year I shot it at like 19% or something like that. So that's pretty crappy. I'm hoping I can get it to like 35%. Just so I'm a pretty big threat from three. And then the other thing I'm working on is getting some mid post work in, some jump shots from the mid post. Maybe being able to take a one dribble rip at the rim. Finding different ways to get into the post because as I get older and better, people are just going to keep double teaming me. So finding ways to score other than just the post, so that I can't be contained by just doubles. So.
A little turn and
Jalen,
I like
we're in the era of transfer. We just saw Caleb Love transfer to Michigan. Good for you guys, the Wolverines. What is it like though having you have three freshmen playing big minutes and three guys who seem to be committed to something bigger than themselves? What's that like to be a part of?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I think if we all stick with it, if we all train as hard as we can, we get after it. I don't see why we can't make some big runs here in the national tournament the next couple of years. Because we had a really promising freshman class this past year. I mean, if we get after it, I see no reason why we can't make even national championship runs. Yeah, so that's obviously the big goal for everyone. But I think we have a real chance at getting there in the next couple of years. Yes.
So you sort of touched about hopefully obtaining that national championship. So to give the viewers a better understanding of it, describe how difficult it is to sort of make that Division III March Madness. Because you guys went 22-5 this season and 13-1 and didn't even crack the tournament. So describe kind of how difficult it is to make that national tournament.
Yeah, I mean we were ranked all year. I think at one point we were like 13th or 11th in the nation. So, I mean that's obviously it's not. I mean it's crazy, but it's not enough. You got to win your conference, and we have a few good teams in our conference. So, making sure that we win our conference next year is going to be huge. We can't rely on at-large bid like we tried to rely on this year, and we got an at-large bid last year actually. But we just can't rely on that. We got to make sure we have a confirmed go to the tournament. And we beat Oshkosh. I think Oshkosh got to the elite 8 this year. So I mean, just like that. I mean, we can compete with anyone, even as young of a team as we were.
I was going to ask you specifically about that Oshkosh game. I have a lot of friends or people I know who played on that team. Was that game like one of the most exciting of the year for you?
Yeah, I mean that was awesome. We played in the side gym, so it made the like everyone seemed way closer to you, and the fans were super loud because it was a more confined space. And yeah, I came out hitting pretty good. So I mean that was a blast to have that as I think it was like my third game as a freshman in college. So being able to hit a couple threes and obviously, people really hadn't heard about me yet, so no doubles came. So I was just free to do whatever I wanted, and that was definitely one of my favorite games of the year for sure.
How do you sort of handle being double teamed? What are your reads coming into it? Say you get the ball right in the post and a double team comes quick. What are you looking for exactly?
Yeah, so if it comes quick, I'm looking for any space I can try to split it maybe. I got to work on that, especially because I turned the ball over quite a few times doing that. But maybe I was really trying to work on being able to get a quick dribble in and then a shot over my defender before the double team could come. Maybe doing a quick spin around the defender baseline or towards the middle so that opposite of the way that the double's coming, just so that I can try to avoid the double. Um, yeah, and then another read I would look at is, try to identify where the double team came from, and make a quick kick to that guy, so that they can maybe make a play.
There you go. Jalen, so you sort of we've talked about all the highs. We've talked about your awards, the recognition you've won. So when things aren't going so well, how do you keep yourself motivated and kind of focused? You touched on what it's like when things are going good, but how about when things aren't going so well?
Yeah. Yeah. I just make sure to keep the end goal in mind. Um, I want to. I mean, throughout this whole year, I wanted to. I knew I could compete for that MIAA MVP. So making sure that, I came into practice, looking to just get better every day so that I could compete for that, as well as, I just take pride in being able to, into being able to lead every game and scoring and rebounding. So I was, even in the lows, just trying to make sure I kept my head in it and making sure I was staying aggressive and not taking days off and yeah, sometimes it was hard, but yeah, just making sure that I remember what I'm that I'm playing for. I'm playing for my team. I'm playing for God, and I'm playing to hopefully get some awards at the end of the year.
God, I love a guy who loves God.
Yeah.
Keep the main thing the main thing. I love that. Yeah. So out of all the accomplishments you've sort of achieved thus far, what is your greatest accomplishment?
Like you mean like what do you think what do I think the best award is?
Yes, best award or just anything. Your greatest accomplishment basketball wise, I guess. Award, maybe game performance, just whatever you feel like you felt the most accomplished, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I think the most accomplished. I think I'm pretty excited about that National Freshman of the Year, especially.
Huge. Congrats on that again, but huge.
Yeah, especially because that's like the first
Wow.
first one in Calvin history, I think. So being able to make history as a freshman at Calvin is pretty cool.
I think you're right. You are right. He's right.
Yeah. So I think that was probably my favorite one. Next being the All-American. I think that was being one of the top 15 or 20 players in the nation, freshman.
Jalen, I've been
That's also
super
super
impressed.
special.
I'm just excited to follow your career, just getting to know you a little bit today. I only have one question left. What is like your happiest basketball memory you ever had? There's a moment in your life where you kind of figure out that you love this game. Was there a moment like that, or was there just in high school when you scored points and like your girlfriend was there, or like what was your happiest memory?
It could be watching too, even if it's like maybe even going to an NBA game with your dad, like literally anything.
This is a tricky one.
Yeah, no, I never really thought about like what's my favorite memory in basketball here.
Buzzer beater, points, maybe just playing one-on-one with your
watching the game,
dad and something funny
anything.
happened, like just happiest favorite.
I don't know if it's like my happiest, but one that I can always look back upon. Like I said, I was going to games or going to AU games with my dad and my brother, as a kid. Just being able to spend time with my dad and my brother and being able to watch my brother succeed, was super cool for me. Yeah, I was super proud of my brother and the way he played, and then even when I was younger, being able to just hang out with my dad and my brother for the weekends was something I just love to do, and so that was definitely one of my favorite like memories that I can always look back upon and be like, yeah, that's one of the good things that came out of
I
basketball.
love that.
For sure.
That's awesome. Dillo?
Yeah.
Yeah, my final question. I know a lot of people, especially at the Division III level, because it is not the lowest of the low, but it is the last level. And usually, if you're at the Division III level, you're not getting a lot of offers from those Division II or Division I levels. So they either turn to either playing at the Division III level or just not playing a sport in general. So my last question would be, what piece of advice would you give a high school athlete sort of deciding whether or not Division III basketball is for them?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think there's no reason not to try it. I mean, you're gonna pay to go to college anyway. You might as well go play basketball. You know, the best thing that's come out of college so far for me has been able to, play basketball and hang out with my buddies every day. Through that, made some really good friends through that, and like you're gonna have a built-in best friend or built-in team of friends for you right there. So, being able to come into college and have 20 guys that or 15 to 20 guys that you can already trust and have a brotherhood with right away is something that was super special for me. And then also, just being able to, stay in shape and stay healthy. And then, if you love basketball, I see no reason why you should just not play basketball at D3 if you have.
Dude, there are so many people who always told me that we, and Dylan and I too, that you're paying to play, but you're paying anyways. We never thought of it like that or even had that comeback, so I love that outlook on life. And we're just so thankful that you, with all your accolades and the great career ahead of you, just even joined us today for this little bit of time. So thank you. Thank you so much. Dillo, close us out, baby.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah. We're here wrapping up episode 9. Jalen, thanks again for taking the time to speak with us, and we can't wait to see what you do in the future. And we're here if you ever need anything, and we're excited for you and can't.
Biggest Calvin fans on the planet, baby.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, biggest Calvin fans. Wrapping up episode 9, DA and JT, the D3 grind. We appreciate you tuning in. Logging out.